So for some reason, my very first review ever was extremely mean. I mean, I don't know if I thought I was going to be the next angry video game nerd or what, but whatever it was that I was attempting, it just wasn't very entertaining and I didn't really enjoy it. To top things off, I completely ripped apart a game that I actually very much enjoyed as a kid. So today, I want to give it another go and give Cruis'n World the review it deserves. After the success of Cruis'n USA in the arcades, the game was ported to the Nintendo 64 in 1996. But the console version was heavily criticized for being a far from perfect port, and even though Game Informer gave the game a 7.5 rating, most reviewers were a lot more harsh on the game, specifically IGN, who gave the game a 4 out of 10. That very same year, the game's sequel, Cruis'n World, had hit arcades. Eurocom, the company responsible for developing the Nintendo 64 port, noted that this time they would spend more time on the project than they did Cruis'n USA, and even went as far as to promise us a perfect arcade port. And after a few delays, Cruis'n World finally hit the Nintendo 64 in the summer of 1998. The first thing you'll hear after booting this game up is one of the most strangely fantastic intro songs to a video game ever.
Cruising the world, yeah, yeah. You've got the speed, you've got the power, to cruise the world.
Now, if that doesn't get you pumped up, I'm not really sure what will. Just like the game's predecessor, Cruis'n World doesn't feature any licensed vehicles, but they definitely did a good job at coming as close as possible to the real thing. There are 21 vehicles in total, 13 of which are hidden and need to be unlocked. As you could probably tell by the name, Cruis'n World focuses on racing throughout many different locations all around the globe. Some of these destinations include Japan, China, Germany, England, Mexico, and New York. The developers actually had photographers travel to these locations to capture pictures of roads and landmarks. How far we've come. The gameplay is much of the same of what we saw in Cruis'n USA. You face off against 7 other racers as you not only try to place first, but also try to beat the clock. If a checkpoint isn't reached before the timer runs out, you automatically lose the race, no matter what place you're in. Certain features make their debut to the series here, like the ability to wheelie and flip your car up on its side. If this is done before hitting a jump or another vehicle, your car will do a stunt in the air. While these don't offer much of an advantage, if any at all, they're still strangely addicting, and I find myself doing these excessively. You also have the ability to drift your vehicle, which can be performed by tapping the brake button while holding down the accelerator. This feature was exclusive to the N64 and was not featured in the arcade version. If you're not a fan of arcade-style racing, then this game is definitely not for you, as it's filled with breakneck turns and over-the-top physics, which can sometimes become frustrating. Crashing into other racers or traffic vehicles usually sends your car flying into the air or leaves you doing 360s in the middle of the road while the clock keeps ticking and your opponents pass you by. The home console release saw some exclusive game modes that weren't featured in the arcades. In the Cruise the World mode, you'll take on each stage in progression as you fight to place first. This is where the game's 2 hidden tracks, Florida and the Moon, can be unlocked. Championship mode features certain tracks that are grouped together in different difficulty settings, but unlike Cruise the World mode, each track is looped to contain laps. Practice mode lets a player race alone on any unlocked track to better familiarize themselves with the level or work on record times. Practice Championship is similar to Championship mode in the sense that the altered lap versions of each level can be played, but here there are no opposing racers. Each track has a record time that, once beaten, will unlock a hidden vehicle. Along with these new modes, there are some other changes from the arcade version. The Sardine Extreme was called Gimpy in the arcade. There were also voice clips present in the arcade version describing each stage, and animals could be hit in the arcade version, which would result in a bloody mess, while on the Nintendo 64, vehicles just pass right through them. The arcade version featured recycled sound effects from Cruis'n USA, while the sounds on the home port are all new. Also, some levels have been renamed, including Moscow becoming Russia and Africa becoming Kenya. While the game looks pretty good with clear graphics and lots of vibrant colors, it still doesn't look quite as nice as the arcade. While it may not be a perfect racing game, I'm not gonna lie, I played this game a lot when I was around 13, 14 years old, and I always thought it was really fun. It's a little simple for today's standards, which is to be expected from a game engine that started development in the early 90s, and it's also a bit frustrating at times, but it's still a game that I can pop in every now and then when I'm feeling a little nostalgic.